Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may be listening to us, it is a good time as always. Welcome to Geeks Who Like Sports, episode 10. We've hit double digits. As always, I'm Ray Carcillo, joined by my best buddy over in Philadelphia, Lee Elias. Lee, how's it going?
Ray, I always start these with a special mug, and I have a special mug today. My wife was gone all week, and I had my kids to myself, and they were 5 and 2. So the mug says, today's goal is keep the tiny humans alive. Which I think that counts as a geek mug. I think it does.
I think it does too.
And it's my goal. We've accomplished the goal. They are alive. One of them got to 5 years old, so I must be doing something right. But aside from that, yeah, it's good. It's been raining like crazy over here. Unlike the Los Angeles weather that you have over there. But overall, it's good. But hey, 10 episodes is a big deal. We hit the decade mark, or not really, but just 10 episodes is a huge deal.
Yeah, no, this is great. We appreciate everybody who's been with us along the way. We've had a lot of new people join our Facebook group. We've had a lot of new people listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. So we're just so everybody knows, we're a little late this week. We're recording on a Sunday instead of a Friday because life happens. But
Yeah.
you know, obviously,
Today's date is June 2nd, just in case. June 2nd, 2019.
Yes. So, but we appreciate you sticking with us, and we got a great show planned. We're talking about E3. We're talking about video game announcements. We're talking about Deadpool joining the MCU. In terms of sports, we've got both finals going on, both for the NBA and the Stanley Cup. We're also then going to go for our mashup, Deadpool. What moment in time do you wish that Deadpool was the referee in sports?
So many.
Yeah, we immediately got a few good ones. If we have time, we're going to try and jump real quick into the mailbag. We got a couple more messages from you guys. But first, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We go back to that episode and listen to it again. We got really in-depth with it. We're going to just briefly touch upon, it is official now. Robert Pattinson is the new Batman. He will be Batman in Matt Reeves' movie. Lee, what are your thoughts?
I'm ready for it. I don't think it's a bad casting. I mean, I think people need to get over the Twilight thing if that's what you're hung up on. I mean, we can joke about it. Don't get me wrong. But he's done work that has shown that he can play this role. I think that luckily for him, I think Batman is at a point now they probably have figured out what not to do, which is super duper important.
Yeah.
And I think that if, listen, this is what it always comes down to. And if DC makes this mistake again, cinematically, I really will be surprised. Stick to the source material and you will be fine. If you do that, it's really hard to mess the roll up. Plan a good trilogy. Make sure you know what you're doing. Pattinson's not going to mess that roll up. But just, please stick to the source material. Stop going off and doing your own thing. Stop trying to be Marvel. Just be what you are. You're DC. You're awesome the way you are. You've been around forever. People love your comic books. Just stick to the source material and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in agreement with this. I think Pattinson, I mean, I saw a video yesterday of highlighting how much he hated working on Twilight, where in all the interviews he was doing it for a paycheck, doing it to become, get into Hollywood, right? So I think he can pull it off. I think that there's rumors that the Penguin and Catwoman will be the villains in the first movie.
Good.
Which I think would be great if that's true, because Penguin, I think and again, this is just all internet hearsay and speculation, and I have no inside information on any of this stuff. But I mean, if they did Penguin, you could definitely see them doing more of that Gotham Underworld storyline.
Yeah, here's the thing. Again, don't make the mistake of trying to make DC seem like the real world. That's Marvel's territory. It always has been. Marvel takes place kind of in our universe, if you will, if you know what I mean by that. And DC never has, so stop trying to do that. The other thing, and this is kind of being my final thought on Pattinson, is that every actor that's come into this role wasn't meant for the role. I mean, Keaton was a romantic comedy actor before he played Batman. Yeah. All right. Let's just remember that. And then you go through it. Val Kilmer was in westerns. I mean, he was in Top Gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? George Clooney was in ER. All All right, I mean, I don't even want to go
well,
into that. That was just a miscasting.
he should have stayed in the ER. He should have stayed in the ER.
Yeah, we put the franchise in the ER after that
Yeah.
movie. But and then Bale was all over the place. I mean, I think that might have been one of the first castings. People were like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, right? And I mean, it worked for him. But people thought about American Psycho, I think, when he got that role, and that was pretty cool. And then Affleck was same thing. Like, started in comedy, then went all over the place. I mean, I remember him from Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Remember from Mallrats. I mean, and here we are again. Every one of those people except for Clooney, who I've always said was a victim of writing, didn't do anything bad to the character. So I think we're at the same place. The villains in Batman are usually the stars anyway, in terms of acting.
Yeah.
So here we go. I don't want to open up the whole thing again, but hey, here we go. Let's see what happens. We'll talk about it again in 2 years when that movie's out.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm with you. I'm willing to give him a chance. Again, we've learned from the mistakes of the past. We can't judge somebody. We can't judge the work before it's been done. So
yeah, but that reminds me. So tune in to episode 162. We'll be talking about the new Batman movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Just a word of advice. I really hope they don't do another origin story. Like I don't
think they
I
will.
hope not.
Yeah, I don't think they will. We know the story. You can just dive into it at this point, and we'd be fine.
Yeah.
What they should do is the origin for the villain.
Yes. Yeah, they should.
And Batman's there.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, so that's it for that. We're going to move on now to video games. There's been a lot of video game announcements this week, a lot of trailers. E3 is a week away from when we're recording. At least the first press conferences are. We know that a lot is already coming because basically you can't keep E3 down. There's always going to be stuff leaking and coming forward before the show comes out. There's all these events, and we've had a few big trailers this week. We're going to start with Death Stranding, which was Hideo Kojima, the guy who did the Metal Gear series. It's his new weird near-future game, and it's like there's babies that you keep in like this embryo as like to use for time travel, and it looks weird and crazy and very Kojima-like.
It sounds like my Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I know, Lee. It was an 8-minute trailer. I know you didn't get a chance to watch it because
I didn't. I
don't
have time to watch an 8-minute trailer.
8 minutes is a ridiculous amount of time. But I mean, look. At first, I was kind of excited, but now it's like this looks like the same kind of crazy Kojima BS. That if you're not on board, if you weren't a big fan of the Metal Gear series and how out of this world he would try to take that stuff,
yes.
This looks like more of that. Just with obviously a new cast, a new setting. If you like Metal Gear, it looks like you'll probably enjoy Death Stranding. If you didn't like Kojima's previous games, I think this is going to be more of the same, and I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, here's what's cool, though. I love that we're getting to a niche point in gaming where the creators, like, you look for something by those creators. I think that's pretty cool. It shows the artistry of gaming.
Yeah.
All right? Sometimes you prefer some paintings, sometimes you don't. I do want to comment on an 8-minute trailer. Here's the thing. This is how I look at 8-minute trailers, okay? It's like a roller coaster. Roller coasters typically last 2 to 4 minutes, 4 minutes being very long,
Yeah.
okay? After 4 or 5 minutes, you want to get off the roller coaster,
Yes.
okay? You need a break, all right? This is like going on 3 roller coasters, and the drops just keep – after a while, you're like, all right, this ride sucks. I'm ready to do the next ride, all right? Ray and I have taken plenty of trips to Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey,
Yeah.
all right? Nitro's the best ride there. 2 minutes long.
Even in the rain.
Even in the rain, where it hurts to hit you in the face. King Dakar is like a 42-second ride.
Yeah.
Okay, which for those of you who don't know, this is Geeks that like sports. It is a 42-second ride, and you go about 110 miles per hour on it, up and down, and it's over, and it's awesome, right? I don't think I could do that for 8 minutes.
Yeah. No.
You know what? How long does it take to launch into space? Isn't it like 10 minutes?
Something like that. Yeah. It's like
it's the amount of time a shuttle takes to get in we're not even in outer space yet.
Yeah.
We're just in early space. So anyway, 8-minute trailers. Look, you know what? Seriously, good for them. I'm sure people were super excited with that, but that's beyond my. I don't know if I have 8 minutes to watch a trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really my jam either. I mean, I did watch it for the sake of just out of curiosity, but it was a lot. It was a lot, and it got a release date, November 8th. I am always the pessimist when it comes to release dates at E3 because I'm kind of like I've seen too many of them slip.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Ray worked in gaming for, what was it, like a decade?
10 years.
Almost?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. Ray worked in professional gaming for 10 years, so he is the authority on these things, and I'm not just talking on this show. He is the authority. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. I appreciate it. But I mean, I think, not to say it'll slip a lot, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if it slipped to they're like, oh, it's gonna be Q1 2020 now instead of like, and I'm like, yeah. So especially with a game like that, especially with Kojima's track record. But you brought up a good point. He kind of has a signature now, right? He has that style.
Yeah.
He has his own style that you don't. You're starting to see kind of develop in games across the board. Ubisoft, you know what to expect from a Ubisoft game in terms of the open world and in terms of like unlocking certain things. Even though the scenario may change and the setting might change, there's a signature there to their style of games they make for the most part. So,
and it'll be interesting to see how that evolves in the future of gaming. I mean, there's actually been, I'm not going to dive into this too much, but there's been movies about the future in which people, game makers are artists. And that people are looking for that type of experience. And that's everything from like Westworld to there's a movie called Her, that kind of explores that. So I think it's kind of cool. I mean, the gaming really has evolved. I mean, keeping in mind too that the original gaming audience, and I'm talking home gaming, I'm not talking arcade, but like the original gaming audience is now really, I mean, we're starting to hit our 40s now, if not a little older than that. So like the arguments of yesteryear of, oh, that's a kid's thing, that's gone. I mean, like the gaming is not a kid's thing anymore. It is a human.
It's
thing.
An everyone thing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't see myself or you ever to stop gaming, even into our older years.
Oh God, no, Lee. I just beat the Mega Man X Legacy 2 collection last night. I saw
your post. It was hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't play as much as I used to. But like, here's the thing: like when my kids get into it more, I'm gonna get right back into it. I mean, and here's the thing: I love the storytelling. I love it. Okay, like I love the escapism of it. I'm very interested to see what happens with VR in the future with this stuff, and also just I mean, we're gonna talk about Call of Duty in a second. I remember I was watching that trailer, and there's parts of that trailer. I mean, I couldn't tell it was a game. I mean, it looked real.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well just get right into Call of Duty. I mean,
good segue.
Yeah, it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare. They're not calling it Modern Warfare 4. I mean, they are calling it a bit of a reboot. It's a soft reboot of Call of Duty 4, the original Modern Warfare. Price is back. You saw him with a cigar and everything. But like you said, Lee, it's. That's the beautiful thing about calling it Modern Warfare is that Warfare has come so far in the 10 years since that game originally came out, or 12 years now, that you can make it feel brand new just by bringing in modern technology and updating the storyline and modern conflicts, because unfortunately it feels like we're always in a war. But like, it looks great. It feels amazing. I think it's going to feel amazing because they always know what they're doing in terms of gameplay when it comes to Call of Duty. And I think that after the not flop, but the disappointment a bit that Black Ops 4 was, I think people are getting trying to send the message that it's like, we're tired of the future stuff. We're tired of jetpacks and double jumps and all this other craziness. Just give us an old school first person shooter, and that relies a bit more on strategy. And I think that's what they're going to do at Modern this new Modern Warfare, where it's a soft reboot of the original, but updated maps, updated weaponry, gear, story. I think this is a good thing, and I think that the people who are against it, I think, are just against any sort of change.
Yeah, here's the thing: you're a gaming guru, so I'm going to ask you some questions that actually help prove your point. Mm-hmm. Okay. The first Warfare games have been around about 20 years now, right? Yeah. To prove your point, how many World War II games were there?
Oh God, I mean,
exactly.
There's so many.
Exactly,
there's so many. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, like that's my point. I mean, between Call of Duty and the other, what was the other major property?
Between Battlefield and the first three Call of Duties. Yeah.
All right. We're talking World War II over and over and over again, and then Wolfenstein, if you want to even throw that in there.
Yeah, as an alternate universe.
The point is. Yeah, the first comment is obviously people love playing certain time periods, right? I loved those games, all right? I forget which one it was, but where they literally put you in D-Day. I think it was Battlefront 2, if I'm not mistaken, or Battlefield 2, excuse me. But you're in D-Day. I mean, you're coming up the shores of Normandy. I mean, I was blown away by that. I would play that over and over again, especially if you told me it was coming out again today. The second thing is that when it comes to the future stuff that they were doing, we don't need that. We have enough games that already deal in that. If I want escapism, I don't need to go to the future of modern military tactics. I want to go to the future of the Netherrealm, okay?
Yeah.
So, my point is that, gaming is not the first time we've reached a point where old becomes new again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you've seen this in the kind of 16-bit revolution that's been happening for the last 10 years, really, where, like, these kind of old-school screen rollers have come back big time, especially on the app market. So like I don't think there's any shame in that. Anybody who doesn't like that, go play another game.
Yeah.
You vote with your dollars on this stuff, okay? But yeah, I think it's a great move. Everybody seems pretty excited about it. And like I said, anytime you say something like, well, the game came out 10 years ago, well, then there's a whole new audience for it now.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, and again, we'll segue quickly from this to Ghostbusters, but that just so you know, okay, so Ghostbusters says it's coming out remastered, right?
Yep.
The Ghostbusters game, which was an awesome game.
Yeah.
It's essentially Ghostbusters 3. It's essentially a continuation of the movies.
Right.
It takes place, I believe, just a few years after Ghostbusters 2 ends.
It takes place 3 years after Ghostbusters. It takes place in 1992.
There you go, 1992, which was a good time. We had just won a war in Iraq, and essentially the premise of the game is that you're a new Ghostbuster they're hiring, and it really dives into the mythology of the two movies with Tobin's Spirit Guide, and then right into the Zool and everything,
and the slime and everything.
It's brilliant. It was a brilliant game. Okay, and I was sitting there I'm like, wow, why are they releasing this so quickly? And then I realized this game came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember playing it in New Jersey before I left, which was in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. There's a whole generation of people that haven't played this game, young people, all right? Obviously, they're trying to recharge that franchise with a new movie coming out.
Yep.
So it makes a lot of sense, all right? And it was a great game. I'm not saying I'm going to buy it and play it again because I already beat it. I know what happens.
Right.
But it's not a stupid move. So when we talk about rebooting and stuff like that, if anything that the movies have showed us is you can reboot a character within 3 years of a movie coming out, Spider-Man, and or Batman, and all of DC. So it's not a problem for me. I mean, it was a long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
I just wanted to comment.
But for sure, if it's done well, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with rebooting a franchise that has, in many ways, Call of Duty has grown stale in recent years. Whether it's Black Ops or the Warfare series from Infinity Ward. I mean, obviously the series took a bit of a nosedive. At least those devs when West and Zampanella left to go make Respawn Games and whatever, and they lost their leadership, and that's a whole nother story for another time.
It's another podcast.
Yes, but like, I mean I don't think a reboot is a bad idea when your series, your franchise, your $1 billion moneymaker has hit a bit of a quagmire.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. It's real simple. If you make a bad game, another game will come up and take your place. Okay? That's the way it's always been. I can already tell you two properties that have kind of withered away that will probably come back. Halo and Assassin's Creed are probably going to show up at some point and come back with a fury.
I mean, Halo Infinite, which is supposed to be Halo 6, will be at E3 this year. I mean,
there you go. I mean, so things come up and go down all the time. And like sometimes you need to go away for a bit so you can become new again. You know what I mean? Like Assassin's Creed got really old really fast, and you could tell they were rushing games out, so they slowed down.
Yeah, they slowed down, and the two recent games that they've done since slowing down have been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. Sometimes you need to retool and go back to the drawing board a little bit.
Yeah, the gaming industry is like kind of growing up here. I think it's getting through its pubescent years now. It's figuring itself out.
Speaking about going back to your past, though, and drawing from your roots, Mortal Kombat has just released their Shang Tsung DLC trailer. And Lee, I don't know about you, but I have...
Let's do it. Going back to my youth.
Yes!
I kind of want to scream it in the mic, but I'm not going to. I'm just saying, test your mic. Mortal Kombat! Okay, all right, I had to do it. I had it set up. I was ready to go.
Oh, man.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared for the show, right? That was a great song. I remember being a young boy in my room doing karate punches and kicks to that song, thinking I was such a bad
I know. You were not alone, my friend.
I
were
wasn't.
not alone.
I did it on the ice hockey rink in a different way, but yeah, that was a fun song. I love that they used that in the trailer for this game before it came out, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about specifically a character DL content that's coming out.
Yes. So the first thing I love that, speaking of the 90 movie, is they got Cary Tagawa, who played Shang Tsung in the movie, to do his likeness and do the mocap and to do all that for Shang Tsung. So when he when he says your soul is mine, it's exactly like it was in 1995 when he did it in the movie.
They even did the same camera angle in the game trailer for this. I wasn't excited till I saw that part. I was like, wait, that's him. I was like, this is the guy from the movie. Yeah. What a great trailer. What a great trailer. So for those of you who haven't seen it, go check out, even if you don't play the game. And so, Ray, just so you know, I'm about halfway through the game now. I've been playing it at night.
Nice.
But it's really fun. It's really a good game. Mortal Kombat 11 is what we're talking about.
Yep.
I've been having a lot of fun with the storyline for that. They really are able to connect you to the where you're at. But the trailer is really great because it's the guy from the movie, and then he's dressed in the same outfit from Mortal Kombat 1, the game, right? Yep. But updated, which is unbelievable. And then the trailer just goes through him pretty much doing what he did in the first game, which was just, morphing into different people from the game and just kicking ass. Yeah. And it was really cool. It was really cool to see. And then they weaved in like all his quotes from the movie. Yeah. They really did. I mean, like even from the start of the movie to the end, and then like again, the trailer ends with him looking as "Your soul is mine," just like the game. Yeah. And oh man, it was awesome. People have been talking about this in our group chat. It was actually one of the more popular things. I'm excited about it. And Ray, you even said it. You might actually get the season pass for that. I don't. With all the excitement, I'm saying I'm not convinced yet because it's something I could probably just watch on YouTube.
That's true.
But wow, that was a great job. And then there's two other hidden guests. They come along with that we don't know who they are yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors that it could be Ash from Evil Dead and Terminator. Terminator has been in previous games of the DLC. Bruce Campbell has been tweeting a lot about Mortal Kombat 11, so everyone thinks it's going to be Ash. But also from Mortal Kombat 3, Sindel and Nightwolf, classic Mortal Kombat characters, are going to be DLC as well. But yeah, I mean, this trailer looked absolutely phenomenal. It looked... It looks great. I mean, again, the season pass, it's a little pricey. I'm not gonna lie. It's for a half dozen new characters, but I am very tempted to pick it up because it is so good. And then not only that, but Shang Tsung. I actually had a tweet go viral because I tweeted this about the fan service of him being characters that aren't in the game. He can transform into Ermac and Smoke and Reptile.
That's right. That's
and
cool.
Like those characters aren't necessarily playable in the game, but like to be able to transform and do a move or two in those other ninja is such tremendous fan service, and is such like, I mean, it's just Ed Boon and his creative team being like, listen, we know we've had a lot of great characters over the years. We're gonna do what we can to kind of touch upon all of them here or there. And I think it's a great way of doing it. It's a great natural way of doing it. And I'm for the people who have the season pass, I think they're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, my question on him before we move on is going to be interesting. Is this when in the timeline is this character fit into the game? I know he's just a playable character, but is this a Chronica situation where he is just out of the first tournament and doesn't know what's going on? I don't know if they're going to include a storyline with that, but that could be, if you've played the game. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a lot of time variance in the game that refers to like the first three games versus the modern game. They could have some fun with it, or they could even tease the movie, which would be even funnier.
Because that's the thing, because like in the games, he doesn't get his youth back until Mortal Kombat 2, as Shao Kahn bestows upon him. They could have just plucked him right from the first Mortal Kombat tournament, which would be crazy. And then on his island where everything's destroyed, and then the well of souls and all this, and then yes, there's a lot.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that like the crypt in this game is his island. Yeah. So like there is a lot to go on. Man, we're geeking out hard on this right now. Because this is Geeks Who Like Sports. Yes. But no, it's really cool. It was really cool. Pretty much anybody from the mid-'90s thought that was cool that plays the game today. Mm-hmm. So shout out to all of you that have been commenting on our Facebook group page because that was a hot topic this week. Yeah. Shang Tsung, welcome back.
Yes. All right, really quick, we got a couple more games. Pokemon made some announcements. Pokemon Home, which is basically you can store your Pokemon now in the cloud, which is ingenious, and you can pull them down to different games. Pokemon Sleep. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm not sure if it's completely separate from Pokemon Go, but the idea is that while you're sleeping, you press a button and let your phone know that you're asleep, and you are supposedly going to catch Pokemon in your sleep. I guess it's better than counting sheep, I guess. And also, they're going to have an announcement coming up soon about Sword and Shield, which is the new Pokemon game, new generation, coming exclusively to the Switch, probably later this year. So
let me tell you a funny thing about Pokemon real quick. So I've always respected the Pokemon franchise. I thought they've always done a great job. It was a great concept. It still is. It still works. They can expand on it. It's really awesome. My son, Logan, and my daughter, too, now because of Logan, have started watching Pokemon. All right? So I've showed them the Pokemon I Choose You, which is kind of like that was like the reboot of the entire universe, which is just Ash starting out. And then I go on to whatever, YouTube TV, whatever I was watching it on, and I go, okay, let me see like the seasons, because like they have it down to like Indigo League, and like there's different levels now. And I go on there, and it's like season 24. And I just sat there, I was like, this hasn't been on 24. Oh, no. I was like, I don't have time to catch up on 24 seasons of Pokemon. Where do I even start with this stuff? So it was funny because like he's getting into it, and eventually I've played Pokemon Go with him on the phone before. He really loves it. I gotta say, like, this is kind of a geek awe moment, but like being able to play Pokemon with my kid when Pokemon came out when I was a kid, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty little fun experience.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to him getting a little older so we can really do that. We've introduced him to games. Actually, Ray introduced my sons to games. Ray bought my son for his birthday a Nintendo Switch, which was, I didn't have any problem with that because my wife and I play it all the time. But he was his introduction to gaming, and it's funny, we talk about, you go to Uncle Ray, we talk about video games, and Ray, I'll tell you, he's 5 now, he's going on 6, so your watch will soon begin. Yeah. and my watch is not ever really good.
Your watch isn't going to end. This isn't a tag team situation.
No, not at all. No, these are mine. They belong to me. But listen, Pokemon's a franchise where I'm like, you know what? Until you don't do something good, I'm gonna believe in it. The sleep thing is gonna be interesting. I still have to see Detective Pikachu, but I'm off gaming now. But keep going.
Yeah, no, it should be good. I mean, yeah, and Sword and Shield. I mean, speaking about the Switch exclusive game, I think will be a big deal. That'll be something great for you and Logan to get into for sure, and Alina when she's ready. Yeah, and I think it's a.
My daughter's gonna be an athlete. She's gonna be an athlete. That's pretty obvious at this point. She goes, hockey. I'm like, that's right. Yeah. That's right. It's exactly what it is.
Nothing wrong. Hey, you as we prove, you can be into sports and geek stuff too. So.
Oh yeah. Listen, well, I'm going to make a proclamation right now. Today on June 2nd, 2019. Look for my little daughter in the Olympics in about 18 years. I don't know what sport yet. She seems to like hockey right now. I'm not going to push it on her, but won't be upset at the same time if it ends up that way. And if none of that comes true, I'll still love her.
Yes.
She can be whatever she wants to be. I'm just joking.
And being an Olympian is very, very hard, not easy.
Yeah, we have high standards in this house. Anyway, keep going.
All right, so the last big announcement is that we know now Square Enix's Marvel Avengers game will be at E3. We don't have any other details on it just yet. I have suspicions about what it's going to be, that there's going to be some character customization, it's going to have some action RPG elements, but nothing confirmed. And because of that, so that leads us perfectly into our next topic, which is, speaking of the Marvel Universe and Marvel in games, we're going to go back to one of our favorite subjects here at Geeks Sports, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there have been many rumors circulating about how they're going to incorporate Deadpool as the first of the Fox properties to join the proper MCU, and how they're going to try and possibly put him in the third Spider-Man movie as a way to do this. Now, Lee, this, I think, it's the first time in Geeks Who Like Sports history, where all 10 episodes, where we are very much diametrically on the opposite sides of this spectrum. So
we are in a civil war here, Ray. This is.
So, Lee, you are very much against Deadpool being introduced through Spider-Man 3, and I tell the fine people out there listening as to why that is.
That's fine. This is a civil war. You have to choose a side at the end of this, but keep in mind this isn't the real fight. No, this is what I think. I'm not against him in the MCU. I personally don't believe, that he will work in the current MCU correctly. And what I mean by that is this: as we all know, Deadpool breaks the fourth wall. He talks to the audience. I think it will be a major mistake if in a I'll say in a Marvel movie, in the sense of the storyline leading up to each Avengers movie. I don't know what we can call it. We can't call it the Infinity storyline anymore. But all right, I don't think it will work if in a Spider-Man movie, Deadpool is addressing the audience. Okay. Because it creates a whole new level here to the audience of being involved with those characters that hasn't existed before. Now, with that said, Ray, I can see Marvel characters appearing in a Deadpool movie. Okay, so my argument was this. I think if you keep doing Deadpool properties, you can have anybody from the MCU in his movies, but I don't see how he will exist in their movies. I don't see how leading up to an Avengers movie you can have a character breaking the fourth wall and then take that movie seriously. And that's the problem I'm going to have with it.
See, and that's a fair point, but I would argue that something that the Marvel Universe has done very well is sticking relatively close to the source material. They've obviously taken liberties when they've had to, when they've needed to, and there have been many times where Deadpool has guest starred in other people's comics, especially Spider-Man.
Sure.
And there have been many, and the thing is that the whole MCU, when Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, they just think he's crazy. They're not in on the joke, and that's part of what makes Deadpool so great, is that he's literally operating on an entirely different plane of existence. And I think that if you do put him in a Spider-Man movie, which is, and again, we don't know in Spider-Man 2 where they're talking about alternate universes and all this other stuff, if all that's going to come to pass, what exactly Quentin Beck does, you could very easily have Deadpool be the tip of the spear of another universe, especially because we know he messes with all that stuff. And you can have him breaking the fourth wall in a Spider-Man movie, and Spider-Man being like, I think this guy's crazy. I think he's talking to himself. And it would be very much just like their dynamic in the comics. Now I would say you won't have him break the fourth wall nearly as much as you do in a Deadpool movie, but I think that you can still have him be Deadpool. I would think the bigger argument would be is, can you have him be R-rated in a Spider-Man movie? Can you have him be R-rated in an Avengers movie? That's the bigger question. But I think Deadpool being Deadpool, I'm all for it. I am all for him talking to Spider-Man, being with Spider-Man, and being the zany, fourth wall breaking character that he is, because that's how he is in the comics.
So, okay, here's my comeback to that. In the comic books, it makes sense because we're all on the same level. Like, we're all on the same playing field here, and we all know that, right? The MCU is on a different level than the Fox properties were, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
True.
That's number one. Number two is this. How many times can you break the fourth wall and have him say, oh, he's crazy, before it's like, okay, what are you guys doing? So it's either a one-liner that happens that we have to establish early on and move on from, or it's something that's going to happen over and over again, which becomes, in my mind, a problem. All right, and here's the other thing, Ray, is that when I think about this, it's, are you going to, how do I want to word this, lower the value of the MCU? Because I think that breaking that fourth wall, it takes away from it. It makes it almost too funny. It makes it silly. And again, now follow me here, okay? I want to reiterate, I think you can pull this off if it's a Deadpool movie. Because I think what I would do, and I'm not saying I'm a Disney exec, and to be fair to Disney has never done anything wrong with these movies yet. So if anybody's going to pull it off, I'll admit, like, if they're going to try it, I'll trust them until it doesn't work. But this is the thing. How cool would it be is it if they just had Deadpool movies coming out, and he's going to be interacting with the Marvel characters, Deadpool and Wolverine, Deadpool and Spider-Man, Deadpool and whatever. You could do this like with every cycle of the MCU, with every phase, and have them like interact with like famous situations. Like I was thinking the other day, I mean, it's too late to do this now, but they could do it in the future. How cool would it have been if a Deadpool movie came out that dealt with everything from Avengers 1 to Avengers 4? And, like, that's what the movie was about. It's, like, his place in that and why he doesn't show up in the movies. It would be hilarious. It would be accepted. Then you could have, like, Tom Holland show up in the movie with Deadpool, and it's accepted because it's a Deadpool movie. But I don't want to devalue the MCU, and I think that breaking the fourth wall, I just don't see how that would work. I mean, like the equivalent of that would be, like, can you imagine if during, like, a major battle scene, like he just like the Infinity War or Endgame, if like Deadpool just looked at the camera and made a one-line joke, it just wouldn't work. I also want to reiterate that the last time Deadpool was in a movie where he didn't break the fourth wall was horrendous.
Yeah.
Unbelievably still Ryan Reynolds, but horrendous.
Yes.
Okay. Like by the way, that's one of the greatest stories of all time. How he got that role back and pretty much forced them to do it correctly. But I don't know. I just don't see how it's possible. I don't see how they can break the fourth wall and keep the MCU on the same level that it's been. I don't think they should use the dimensional break for that. It worked in the Spider-Verse, obviously, but like that was an animated film. I don't know. It's silly to me. It would be silly to me if in the major MCU movies, Deadpool's addressing the audience, even if Spider-Man thinks he's crazy. With that said, totally think it would work in a Deadpool movie as long as they just kind of, if they just establish that property of like Deadpool addresses the audience, and now in his movies he's going to be working alongside people from your other favorite movies. That would totally make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it works, but I still believe that you could still pull it off if done correctly. And I think that because they're talking to Ryan Reynolds too, and nobody understands the character better than very few people understand the character better than Ryan Reynolds in terms of Deadpool.
But he is Deadpool. He gets
right,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
perfect casting.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's what'll happen is that Kevin Feige and all the other Marvel execs will sit down with him and they'll figure out a way that is. Because that's the other thing, too, is that they'll have to... I mean, you could do something so funny where he's in a Spider-Man movie, and he tries to swear, and he gets bleeped, and then he turns to the camera, he's like, what's that noise? What's that? What's going on? And then, and Spider-Man's like, I don't hear anything. Like, I can't believe, and he's like, dude, don't. And you could have...
why not just do that in a Deadpool movie, though? Like, why does it have to be the Spider-Man movie to do that?
Because you still need to find a way to explain him, I think, into the universe. And I think that they don't want to take all the time that they would need. I mean, you'd probably be dedicating your entire first act of a new Deadpool movie just to explaining how he gets to the Marvel universe. And
I was just going to say that, yeah, like because there's no way he doesn't talk about the merger.
Right.
he's got to address
right.
it. So I don't know. That's why I said I think that if they do it as a Deadpool property, I could totally see that because he's not a hero. I don't know. So first off, let us know what you think by commenting or emailing us. I really still don't see it right. I don't see how he fits in. The only thing I'll say is that if anybody can do it, Disney can. But I just think, first of all, I think it makes the Deadpool franchise even more valuable if you kind of separate him and they appear in his movies.
Right.
Okay? And then if he does appear in the movies of, the Marvel movies, it's got to be quick. That's just my mantra on it because... Like, can you imagine him interacting with Star-Lord or something? It just wouldn't work.
No, I mean, I think it could. I mean, there's also the idea that all these guys have contracts, right? They're supposed to appear in X number of movies and all this other stuff, and the idea could be that they don't want to waste one of their appearances on a new Deadpool movie when it would just be easier to give Ryan Reynolds a new contract and have him appear in everybody else's movies. Or at least Spider-Man.
I'd want to be in a Deadpool movie.
Well, so would I. But
Yeah, I would. I want Hugh Jackman to be in a Deadpool movie, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I mean, that's the sad. The sad thing is, I mean, Hugh Jackman has said he would come back for an Avengers movie if they wanted him.
Yeah,
but that's
maybe. I don't think they're gonna.
No.
Do that I think if he does, it'll be a cameo of an older Wolverine.
It'll be Old Man Logan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they've already done.
Yeah.
But I could see something like that. Well. We'll see. It's going to be super interesting to see where the MCU goes. But yeah, as it comes to Deadpool, I still don't agree. I just don't see how he fits into the normal MCU. I don't yet see how that could be written in a way that the audience is going to buy in. That's all I'm trying to say. That doesn't devalue the level of production that we've already gotten.
That's fair. That's fair. I do think though. I think that again, like you said, I think if anybody can pull it off, it's these guys. I think it's Marvel, it's Disney. I think
I'll agree with you on that. I will agree that if anyone can pull it off, it's them.
But
we'll see.
Yeah, we will. Because again, we're only talking. Again, this is all hearsay. This is all just rumor and speculation that we're commenting on. So I mean, we have.
It's just rare we disagree on anything. Yeah.
Yes, we have no inside information. So, but yeah, so it's we'll have to take a wait and see approach. So.
Yeah, for that one, you tune into episode 47.
Yeah.
This is episode 10. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So, moving on now into our sports segment of the. Speaking of things that the writing is just unbelievable. The NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, we're in it now.
We are in the midst of it tonight. We are recording about 4 hours before Game 2 tips off for the NBA Finals. Game 3 was last night for the Stanley Cup Final. Lee, we'll start with hockey. Can the Blues bounce back from that terrible 7-2 loss last night where Bennington got pulled And I mean, I think they scored 3 goals on 4 shots. The Bruins did or something. It was just
Yep.
They came out and they just steamrolled the Blues.
Yeah, so what you're dealing with here is a team that has been very consistent in the Boston Bruins, and then when you look at St. Louis, you have an inconsistent team that when they play well, they're the best team in the world, and when they play poorly, they suck, right? So for those of you who don't watch hockey, Game 1 went to Boston somewhat convincingly after the first period. Game 2 went to St. Louis in overtime, and last night the Bruins demolished St. Louis in front of their home crowd, the first Stanley Cup final game there since 1970.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind, they've as of now they've only won 1 Stanley Cup game, which was Game 2 of this series.
Yeah, they're 1-14 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the deal: can they bounce back? Of course. All right. Bennington has a great track record of that this season. He's also a rookie goaltender, and I think what's happening is it's potentially possible the Bruins have figured him out. All right, because I think 3 or 4 of those goals were scored through the 5-hole last night, and he just had a bad game. St. Louis just had a bad game, and here's the thing about the finals, or really any playoff series, is the score doesn't matter. It's a loss. That's it. The series is 2-1. You just have to come back and play a better game, and they know what they're coming up against. So I think like if you're just kind of a casual fan of hockey, there's not many of those out there. But yeah, it looks like, oh wow, the Bruins are really going to rip them apart. I don't know. I will tell you this is and this is kind of always obvious at this point, but I always say it's not as simple as this. But if the Bruins win the next game, I don't see St. Louis coming back at all to make a series out of it. They're just too strong. So this is a must-win game. I mean, they're all must-wins, but this is a must-win game for St. Louis. They have to show that they can compete in the final, and you have to stop being inconsistent because Boston will win the cup if you don't.
Yeah.
But it's been an interesting series. I'm interested to see what happens in Game 4, which I believe is tomorrow night. I know there's been a long gap.
Yeah,
I think for some reason. But yeah, that's the way it is. I think Game 4 is tomorrow night. It's a must-win for St. Louis. You got to win in your house. You got to tie the series heading back to Boston and kind of make it a best-of-3 series. And you're there for a reason. I always say this: if you're in the final, you're there for a reason. All right, you're not there because you're bad. You're not there because you get lucky. You know, if you won 3 rounds to get to the final, you deserve to be there. But you got to act like it. And the Bruins are acting like a team right now that's been to the final and knows what they're doing, and the St. Louis Blues look like a team who hasn't been there since 1970.
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. It's true. I mean, I think that you mentioned, you made a good point in that when the Blues are at their best, when they play their best game, you can't beat them. And I think that's what they had to do in Game 2. The question is can they do that 3 more times in a series against the Bruins? And the sad thing is, I don't think they can. Like, I mean, they've been very inconsistent, and when everything's clicking, they are the best team in hockey right now. I mean, they showed that by going on this ridiculous run since January. People forget they were last in the standings come January.
Last place. Yeah. They were 31st in the league in January, and they're in the Cup final. That is unheard of. Okay, especially in the modern era of hockey. But yeah, like look. Again, if you put a gun to my head right now, I'm picking the Bruins. It's not just because they're up 1 game. It's because they look way better. But it's sports. I've seen crazier things happen. All right? I've seen teams in this situation before battle back. And as always, as a huge hockey fan, I'm hoping for a 7-game series. I mean, I want as much hockey as possible before the offseason.
Yep.
And it's on that. Like, the ball's in their court. I mean, they were clearly feeling the pressure last game. It was clear. I mean, they just completely fell apart. They let up 4 power play goals. I mean, just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. The best part is it's a 7-game series, so you come back and you play a better game. And adversely for the Bruins, don't get cocky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, you got to play the best hockey you've played all the time.
Well, that's the thing. I remember when the Rangers went on their cup run a few years ago, before they lost to the Kings, and there was a game where Lundqvist got lit up. They benched him. They pulled him. Yeah. And honestly, it was the best. It was the best thing because he kind of needed a breather a little bit. I mean, that's just it. The Blues have kind of been riding Bennington for months now, and this might be actually a thing to pulling him in the second period yesterday might actually be just what they need to make this a very interesting series and to wake up.
That's what happened against San Jose. I mean, they had that goal, I think, in Game 2 against San Jose in the Western Conference Final where they scored scored on a hand pass, and then the Blues went nuts, and they won 4 in a row after, 3 in a row after that. So, emotions play a role in this, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Again, Boston looks great. I mean, I'll give them full compliments right now. They look like a team that could win the Stanley Cup. I mean, they're playing the best they've played all year, and we'll see what happens with the Blues if they can figure this out.
And speaking of Boston, a friend of mine tweeted when he listened to a previous episode about what superheroes would Boston guys be or villain. He said Brad Marchand would be Jared Leto's Joker.
That's a perfect answer. I could see that. Although, yeah, listen, man, that guy scores a lot of. He had over 100 points this season, and he's a pest, and he's doing everything right, and he's got a lot of points in the playoffs too. I think it's amazing that stuff has overshadowed his point production because he's one of the best players on that team right now.
Shout out to my buddy Brett for that comment. And then, yes, I mean, I'm with you. I think Boston wins in 6 at this point. But we'll see. I'm pulling for St. Louis. I'd rather St. Louis win, of course, because I hate Boston.
But I know you hate Boston. We don't need 3 Boston teams in championship situations.
First time since 1935-36 that would be. I found out this. I looked it up. The Red Wings, the Tigers, and the Detroit Lions were all champions in the same year, 1935.
And there probably wasn't a Pistons back then. So
exactly. So
anytime you're using things like before the war, it's a rarity.
So all right. So speaking, you mentioned the Pistons. Moving on to basketball. Obviously, the Pistons nowhere near the NBA Finals, but it's the Warriors versus the Raptors, and the Raptors came out and stunned everybody with a 9-point Game 1 victory. Durant still not playing for the Warriors, but Lee, I think, again, this is the case where the Warriors are the better team. The Raptors, similar to the Blues in Game 2, just came out and played their best possible game in Game 1 and stole it.
I'm going to make a very, very brave proclamation here and say that the Warriors sweep them now and go win the series 4-1 in 5 games. I'm going to say it. Here's the thing. Props to Toronto. It was a great Game 1. It was really cool. Actually, it's been really kind of fun to watch them, the We the North chants and just do things with Drake and stuff like that. But when the Warriors get going, I mean, all this is what I think. And again, if I'm wrong, I'll admit this next week. I think you just woke the beast up.
Yep.
They're missing one of their best players. And again, I'm not saying I don't want the Raptors to win the NBA championship. I'm just speaking. I just don't see how the Warriors can lose. They're too good.
Yeah.
All right, and I've seen teams like the Warriors lose Game 1 before and come back and win 4 games in a row. 2000, Philadelphia 76ers, 2001.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. Allen Iverson. But yeah, here's the thing. You know what's been fun about the finals is Drake. So I just gotta say this. This is not so much sports related, but Drake shows up to Game 1 in Steph Curry's father's actually game-worn Raptors jersey. So he's wearing a Curry jersey that's his dad's. Right in front of Steph. Now, to my knowledge, and this is the one thing about basketball, there's a lot of celebrity fun in basketball. Yeah. They kind of go down that realm a lot more than hockey does. But what I've heard is that this is all just kind of a fun game for them. Like Drake's actually friends with a lot of the Warriors.
Yeah.
All right. But I thought that was the funniest troll job. He's wearing his dad's jersey right in Game 1. And then people get like, oh, should he be on the sidelines? Like, they're just playing around. Like that's basketball, man. Like he's friends with these guys, and he wants his team to win. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, it's very funny. I think that, I mean, obviously Jack Nicholson's famous for being courtside with the Lakers, like Spike Lee.
Yeah, Kevin Hart here in Philly.
Spike Lee with the Knicks. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they're unofficial mascots for the teams, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
Will Smith used to be our guy, but people forgot that. But that's okay.
Yeah, nobody wants ownership of Will Smith anymore. I wonder why.
Yeah, I would take him. Yeah, no, I don't know either. But yeah, Kevin Hart is now the Sixers mascot, and he's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I actually saw an article the other day about every team's celebrity, like lover or something like that. And like they had Mark Cuban down for Dallas, which I didn't think was fair. I'm like, well, he owns the team now. So, but he does host Shark Tank, so maybe.
Yeah, I guess maybe, I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that this is kind of like last night's terrible boxing match.
Oh my goodness, that was hilarious.
Yeah, what was it? Andy Ruiz got knocked down in the 3rd round, and then just came out like a house on fire. I think the Raptors knocked down the Warriors in the 3rd round, and now they're gonna come out like a house on fire.
There was a movie. If our friend Ray Santiago is listening, he'll remember this. There was a movie called The Great White Hype. Yeah. It came out, I think, in the late 90s. And it was exactly what happened in this boxing match to the point, except he won. The underdog won. But he's super overweight, and he can't fight, and he wins. I was blown away by that. But, hey, listen, that just goes to show you maybe it's not rigged.
Yeah.
And that, he got a shot in, and he did what he had to do, and he won the fight. And
Vegas lost a lot of money last night on him.
Listen, we all won because the memes coming out today because of this thing are unbelievable.
Lee, I have the body of a heavyweight champion.
Yeah, listen, Ray, go ahead. Find any world champion you want. We'll record it. We'll see how that goes. And then we'll have a podcast 10 weeks later when you wake up. Okay.
Fair enough.
We'll do that.
Fair enough.
All right. Listen, you don't want a nose like mine, Ray. I broke it getting punched in the face many times.
I've broken my nose too, getting punched in the face. But anyway, that's
here's a side
yours
note.
was on hockey.
So my son actually inherited my nose, and his nose is perfectly straight and nice looking. And I have to tell people that's actually my nose before it's been broken 6 times.
Yeah.
7 times. 7 times. Yeah, sorry, I forgot one.
Oh man. Well, speaking of breaking things, referees tend to break a lot of things when it comes to games, and breaking the fourth wall is our good buddy Deadpool. So for today's...
Yeah, listen, I got to say this real quick. We are the best segue people in the universe. All right, nobody segues better than we do on this show. Yes. Okay, I want to say that.
We work really hard at it, or at least we try.
And all of these are off the cuff. We don't plan any of these
Nothing
segues.
is scripted, folks. This is all ad-lib.
If they gave podcast Emmys for best segues, we would win it year after year after year.
Yes.
Okay. But they don't. So moving on.
And considering we've been only around for 10 weeks, the fact that we win year after year says something. Even
every year.
But anyway, so our mashup today is great refereeing blunders and what would Deadpool have done in their stead. How would Deadpool have fixed some of the best refereeing blunders in history? And I know, Lee, we talked about this before.
Times Deadpool was needed.
When was Deadpool was needed during refereeing mistakes? Lee, I know. I'll let you go first. We both had this one in mind before the podcast started, but I got another good one, so I'll let you go first.
2019 NFL playoffs. You already know where I'm going. New Orleans Saints, Los Angeles Rams. He was needed at the end of the game. On the worst missed call I have ever seen in professional sports. I think I mean that. I mean, I'm being a little sarcastic. To the point that even Madden the game got the call right.
Yeah.
Tells you something. Okay? He was needed in that moment because the commentary would have been unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, you can just imagine how off the cuff. I mean, like, he obviously would have... Would he have gone... for the sake of comedy, would he have let the play happen and then just been, like, commentating on it and been like, yeah, no, whatever, you just do whatever you got to do, guys. I mean, like, the ball, what do the rules matter? Because this is, here I am talking to you, like, through the fourth wall, but popped out of nowhere. Or would he have just been like... would he have come, like, out, like... in a Saints jersey, running onto the field with his katanas and just, like, sliced the ref in half and been like, first down!
No, I just think he would have had a one-liner like, I haven't seen interference like that since Trump became president.
Yeah, that would have been a Deadpool
Something
one.
like
That
that.
would have been a good Deadpool one.
Something like that. I haven't seen interference like that since blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. Or, if we're going R-rated, which I'm not going to say, the guy's endless. He's got endless amounts of things like that. But, yeah, I just would love to hear what he would have to say about. I would love to hear what he has to say about things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen interference like that since Juggernaut ripped me in half.
Yeah.
It was a bad missed call,
terrible.
and Deadpool was needed to lighten the mood.
Yeah.
To the fact that New Orleans, like, their newspapers said no catch for like 2. I think after the Super Bowl ended, they even had a thing about that. Like the day after, their newspapers had a thing about that, which was a little ridiculous. You got to get over it at some point, but. I wish Deadpool was there for lots of different reasons.
So another classic umpiring, refereeing blunder that I just thought of. Go back to the 1980s, Yankees versus Royals, the George Brett Pine Tar game.
Yeah.
Could you imagine George Brett comes storming out of the dugout after he's called out? Major League Baseball, of course, ends up reversing the call much later, and they replay the ending of the game. But like Deadpool like comes out with him. It's like, oh my God, George Brett's hulking out. We got a Hulk here, guys. Like,
you know what's funny about all these moments? They all visually here, they're all the same meme of in Deadpool 1, the movie, when they let Ajax go and he grabs his face, his eyes get real wide. Every one of these is a moment for that meme.
Yeah.
He looks back and forth 6 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the writing would be unbelievable if he was running out there. Did you even see the pine tar? It smells ridiculous.
It looks like candy.
Yeah, see, another one that I had was the 1999 Stanley Cup Final, Dallas Stars versus Buffalo Sabres, where Brett Hull scored the game-winning goal by the rules at that time, clearly within the goalie crease, which at that time was a no goal. But the NHL, they still say no goal in Buffalo. What is it, 20? It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
They still say no goal in Buffalo. I would love to hear his commentary on that.
Oh, for sure.
The guy with the sleeky spine couldn't stop the puck. Amazing.
Yeah.
He just put his. It would be. I could see it. Come on, he just put in the tip. I could see of his skate. It's just the tip.
How about every NBA game that Tim Donaghy refereed? The guy who
I can't believe that guy's still
the
alive.
guy who fixed all those games. Just Deadpool.
Yeah.
Bets here. Place your bets here. Get your bet.
No. It would be that scene where he's at the beginning of the first movie where he's got the pizza and he takes the pizza. I didn't order any pizza, and he kisses him on the cheek. I can't believe that guy's alive still. I really mean that.
Yeah. No, it's.
I thought the mob would have taken him out by now.
Well, I mean, he he was kind of working for the mob. I read a really interesting story about like how the inner workings of all that went and how he made all his money and his friends made money off of it, and it was kind of like a little underground mafia thing they had going on there.
Right, I've seen a lot of mob movies and TV shows, which is clearly authority on actually how the mob works.
Yeah.
For real. The guys like that don't make it in those movies. I mean, they take them out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of movies. They take them out. Sopranos, they take them out.
Yeah.
Godfather, take them out. Goodfellas, take them
When you
out. I can keep going.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
that which is part of the Karate Kid remake.
Yeah.
In Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
they say that in that movie too. Taken out.
Yeah.
Which you have to watch, by the way. If you haven't seen Cobra Kai, go watch both seasons.
It's
really
gonna be
good.
free on YouTube now, so that's great.
It's really good. Anyway, that's another episode. We'll talk about that when it comes back out. But yeah, look, the Deadpool one-liners in these moments, he was needed. He was needed to lighten the mood.
Yep.
All right, because there's been so many like recent calls. That Rams, I still can't get over that call. I'm not a fan of either of those teams. And like I said, it's not that I didn't want the Rams to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh my goodness, that was. How do you? I still don't know how they missed that. Like that's the type of call that makes you think the game's fixed.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the truth.
I'm a really big guy on accountability, and I've always said that like it's not one call that loses you the game, and I actually believe that in that game, in the sense of like they didn't lose the whole game on that call. They had a full game of football they could have played. But man, like you gotta make that call. As my dog agrees. That's Chewy, Chewbacca for long. He agrees. And it's just I don't know. It needed Deadpool's humor, or like this is like when he rips his arms off or shoots someone by accident for fun.
Yeah.
Like you know what all these are? It's Pulp Fiction. Oh man, I shot Donnie in the face. That's what it is. Right? That's exactly what happened. And that screaming sound downstairs is my daughter, who also agrees with me.
Yes. Well, going back to your dog, you mentioned Chewy. Real quick, we're going to try and squeeze in the mailbag super quick here. We're getting towards the end of the episode. We got a message from Chools. Chewy, Chools. So there we go. That one needed a little more work. Before our mailbag, Chools writes in basically agreeing with us with our analysis of TV shows that have it's tough to find a way to have a good ending for a TV show, and of course Game of Thrones suffered from the fact that the books weren't finished. They ran out of source material. I'll tell you, because we have a couple minutes. I'll tell you real quick on that. I've had a couple weeks to reflect on Game of Thrones, and I said it 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to say this again. It was an okay ending. I'm going to stick by that. I think it was okay. But with that said, I'm finding myself actually a little disappointed now in the writers and the production of it, because they had a lot of time, and that I would have chosen probably a different way to end it. Now, anybody can say that. All right, I just felt like the way the characters were developed, I'm not against the ending. I just would have done it differently, if that makes sense. All right, it's kind of like when I say I'm not against that the way they turned Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader. I just would have done it differently, personally. And I think that it goes to the fact that a lot of people were invested in these characters for 7-8 years, and people don't want the shows to end. Yeah. The other thing, we had a really great discussion on this in our group, the Geeks Who Like Sports Facebook group, but everybody used Dexter as another example of a show that ended, and the showrunners for that recently came out and said the alternate ending was that Dexter was on his deathbed, getting his injection, his lethal injection, and that the whole show was him reliving his life through his eyes. And I thought that was actually a really cool idea. Yeah. But then I also said that I don't think I would have liked that at the time. But 2 years later, I could totally have accepted him dying, and then in the viewing room are all his victims. That would have been a cool ending. But I don't know if I would have liked it at the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So look, it's tough to end a TV show. That's the truth.
a Game of Thrones gave us 7 really, really good seasons and one whatever season that was okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I think Jules was with us too, where it's like it wasn't the best ending, it wasn't the worst ending. Doesn't need to be reshot, and all these petitions are kind of ridiculous. But
yeah, that's ridiculous.
But they ran out of source material, and they kind of did the best they could. But it's not surprising, kind of went off rails there at the end.
Yeah, just to round this episode out, amazing what happens when you don't follow the source material, even if you don't have it. You just end up going down. Trust the writing.
Back to Batman. But
yeah. You see what I did there?
Last mail real quick from Dan. First time, long time. Thanks, Dan. We haven't been around a long time, but we appreciate it. He wants to talk about... I know, he knows us. We know it. It's all good. We know Dan. Anyway, he writes in, it seems we enjoy talking about and analyzing movies as much as I enjoy watching them, similar to kind of how we follow our sports teams. For franchises like Star Wars and then Marvel Cinematic Universe, does that decrease the importance of making good films? Is it more important about, where the hype and the discussion around the event are enough to sustain it alone? What impact will this have on the industry? I kind of disagree. I think that we still need to be making good movies. Like, the hype train is all well and good, but what happens is that, like, if you make a bad movie, the hype train isn't going to do enough. Or it might do enough for one film, but then people are going to be a lot more hesitant to go see the second film or the third film, again, i.e. the DC Cinematic Universe. So I think that you still need to make good films. It's that importance has not decreased whatsoever, Dan. I think that if you could have a flop here or there, but I think the only reason why Marvel's so strong and Star Wars is so strong is because for the most part, they haven't made bad films.
Yeah, here's my comment. If we're going to use a sports analogy with these things, which is kind of right in our wheelhouse, teams have bad seasons.
Yeah.
There are teams that have bad seasons, and you know what? If you have enough bad seasons, the fans stop showing up. Look at the Washington Redskins.
Right.
All right. Franchise that's been around forever. So you can have a bad season here or there. You can miss the playoffs here or there. But like if you're the New York Yankees, which is the MCU.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you're the Washington Redskins, which is the DCU.
Yeah.
All right. Like if you consistently get better and come back, people will stick with you, and that's the power of a franchise in the sense of Star Wars and Marvel are really good teams. All right. And every once in a while they have a bad decision or they have a bad season or even a fluke season. Like we talked about this with Solo. Solo was a great movie. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why people rip on that movie. It was well done. It was poorly marketed, horrendously marketed. Yeah. And then it came out at the wrong time. They went up against an MCU movie. It was in the summer. It was clearly a winter type of movie. Yeah. Like most Star Wars movies come out at Christmas time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the thinking was behind that. But it'll rebound. It's just like it's a season people won't want to watch.
I mean, they've already started the petitions to get Solo 2 made, so...
They should. It was a good movie. It was a really good movie. But listen, Hollywood's a business just like pro sports. And if they don't think they're going to get the ROI on it, they're not going to do it. And like I said, look, there's Florida Marlins in the cinematic world too, right? That just want to, they don't need people in the building. They just want to make their ROI because they have a low payroll and they can bring in people and make money.
It's the horror industry. The Marlins are the horror industry.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. That is the greatest analogy I've ever heard of the Marlins. It makes a lot of sense. And Derek Jeter's there to bring it back.
He's the killer. He's the killer with the machete.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he's the Jason Voorhees here. But it's a great analogy. And like I said, people vote with their dollars. If you make enough bad movies, you're going to go away. And that's what almost happened to Batman, all right? And here's the other funny thing. You can go away. You can be bad. You can be horrendous. Be bad. Go away. 10 years can go by. All of a sudden, you're good again in the playoffs. Guess who comes back? All right, look at the Chicago Blackhawks, who lost almost all their fans. Then they won 3 cups in a row. Well, I'm sorry, 3 cups in whatever many years. And now they're one of the biggest franchises again in sports. So everything can be reborn if your branding is strong enough. And that's why Star Wars, DC, Marvel, they're never going to go anywhere. Even if they do, they're going to come back.
Yeah. So we appreciate it. That's our thoughts on that matter. We appreciate you guys writing in. It's geekswholikesports@gmail.com. Also, of course, don't forget to listen and subscribe on iTunes. Write us those lovely 5-star reviews. And again, just search Geeks Who Like Sports. We're soundcloud.com/Geeks Who Like Sports. Again, join the Facebook group, Geeks Who Like Sports. You might be noticing a pattern here. But, we appreciate everybody who listens every week. We appreciate everybody in the group who chimes in and participates. It means a lot to us. I know it's kind of something that just kind of started as a fun little thing, but we're really enjoying that everybody's kind of embracing this and feeds us. It makes us stronger. I mean, look.
Yeah, man. Make Ray Hulk out again. It's
I mean, look at us. This is our longest episode yet. We're over an hour. We're an hour and 5 minutes.
You got 5 bonus minutes this episode. If you've been listening, you've got 5 bonus. 5. It's DLC, not really. Just if you listened this far, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
we
listening.
really appreciate it.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Ray.
we really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. So for Lee, I'm Ray. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports, episode 10. Thank you again for listening, everybody, and we will see you again next week.